Morning, everyone, and welcome to the joint committee hearing with Commerce and Consumer Protection and Judiciary. We have an item or two on our joint agenda. I guess we have just one on this one. We will begin with the testimony that we have. And let's see, let me pull up a different file. I love technology until it doesn't want to behave. There we go. Okay. Let's see. I want to also welcome the folks from the Committee on Judiciary. Chair Rhodes is joining us, and all of the folks seem to be here. So let's proceed. The first item on our, and the only item on our joint agenda, is House Bill 1830, House Draft 1, relating to state self-insurance against property and casualty risks. And our first testifier is from the Department of Budget and Finance. Mr. Hawai'i, or a representative? He provided written testimony only and stated some concerns. We have from the Department of Accounting and General Services, Ms. DINO. I do like your Lahaina Looney colors. Oh.
Chair Baker, Chair, Vice Chairs, and committee members, Audrey Donna, Deputy for DAGS. We have our.
Yeah, hold the mic over. So.
Oh, sorry. Shall I repeat myself?
Yeah, please. Because I don't know that IT picked that up.
Okay, thank you. Morning, Chair Baker, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chairs, and committee members. Audrey Dano, Deputy for DAGS. In regards to House Bill 1830, House Draft 1, we submitted our testimony, and we have not only concerns but serious concerns. And I'll let you read it. If you have any questions, I brought Mr. Tracy Kitoka, who is our risk management officer, and he can probably answer all the insurance questions that you might have.
Okay, members, any questions for our testifiers? Yes.
Thank you. Could you just briefly describe for us the significance of what this bill would change in the way these matters are handled?
Tracy Kitoka, Risk Management Office. The way it's written right now, one of the main concerns that we have, it eliminates the discretion for the comptroller to purchase property and casualty insurance. If the bill is unamended, we have the intent is to, have the right to go self-insurance, but unamended without any changes, we're able to do that. Because if the statute says comptroller has a discretion to purchase property and casualty insurance. If you do not exercise that discretion, then we could be self-insured. Right? If we elect not to buy insurance, then we'll be self-insured. So this change that this bill has to take out that discretion and just say we'll be fully self-insured, that's, we feel that's not in the best interest of the state.
And what's the annual amount of money or liability that would be impacted here?
When you talk about liability from the whole insurance standpoint, we purchase, the State Risk Management Office purchases property, liability, crime, and cyber policies. Along with that property policy, we have terrorism coverage also. That's a separate policy. If you were to look at removing all that insurance, we're giving up about $322 million worth of coverage. So,
and our annual premiums are?
Our annual premiums this particular year, we're at 21 million, approximately 21 million. Okay. And so that's, that's just insurance coverage. Now, what can and cannot happen in this world that we live in now, who knows what.
The amount of claims, so 322 million in coverage, 23 million or something in premiums. What's the amount on average that the state shall I say, is dinged for insurance coverage? How much insurance coverage is actually
Yeah,
invoked?
so I took a look at some of the historical. If you go back from fiscal year 20, from fiscal year 12 to 22, our liability policy paid out about 13.8 million since that time period, but we paid out about 36.3 million in premiums. So that's just liability. Property, we collected about 12 million in proceeds from the insurance company, and we paid out about 102 million throughout that time period. 102.6 million. So crime and cyber, we never had claims paid or collected proceeds from our insurance policies, but we did have it. Now cyber, we only purchased cyber insurance from like fiscal year 18, but that's a brand new.
So going forward, what, if nothing changed and it was the same outlay, what would we expect on average each year that the state would be
Yeah, so
paying
right
in
now we're at
claims?
20 million, well, as far as losses or premiums.
Well, if we weren't paying the premiums because we were self-insured,
Oh, yeah.
then what
so
would we be paying out as,
that's part of the risk management office, where if we had a crystal ball and we knew what future losses were going to be.
no,
That's-
just, well, just
yeah.
using the last 10 years and on the presumption that it continues as without any additional or less.
Yeah, so that's where from fiscal year 12 to now, we've collected about 26 million dollars.
But we pay that much out each year too.
Yeah, we have premiums, right? But to say each year what our losses would be, that remains to, no one knows that.
And one more final question, Chair, if you permit.
Sure.
So, because that's the question, right? Is if we
Yes.
could save money by not
Right.
paying the premiums every year. What if, now the insurance companies probably fight, they probably don't just give away claims. Is the state in an equal position to defend against claims as an
Yes.
insurance company would be?
Yeah, so from the liability end, the large liability claims go to the AG's office, lawsuits and what have you, and they submit, their list to the legislature every year on settlements that they make. Right. The property side, thank God, we have not had a large catastrophe. Well, when we do, we have the risk management office, and we also utilize an insurance broker who finds all these policies for us and gathers the quotes.
Yeah, but if we didn't have all these policies,
Yeah, if we don't, we would only have 3 adjusters.
who would manage that? You'd be the person running around
Yes.
figuring all that out?
Yeah, so we have 3 adjusters in the risk management office. Right now, they handle liability claims and auto claims up to $25,000. That limit was just raised a couple of years ago. Other than that, these large losses, we don't have the luxury of an insurance company's adjusters handling and coming in to address these large property claims. We'll just have those 3 adjusters we have in our office.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Members, any other questions?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, just, would you need more people if you would?
From a catastrophic standpoint, yes, if it's a huge hurricane comes through, let's
Yeah,
say-
but you're not gonna know that. I'm just saying on a normal day to day, would you then have to increase any of your?
If we go totally self-insured, there's a possibility we'll definitely need more adjusters, because more claims, especially the larger ones that would come in.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Senator Sanborn.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. Okay, the first question is, do you know any other state that's self-insured?
I didn't survey the whole 50, but I did survey some of the states, and like Utah actually went into self-insurance, and they utilize a captive insurance. That's one form of self-insurance. Essentially a captive, you establish an insurance company within, let's say, the state of Hawaii, we'll call it the state of Hawaii captive, and act as an insurance company,
Mhm.
right? So that captive will purchase reinsurance to kind of protect itself. But some states have gone that route. Not a whole lot, because it's still in economic dire needs. They start to look at self-insurance. not everyone has gone down that road yet.
Okay, so my second question is, because frankly, I've always thought of the state as already being self-insured because the AG takes care of the defense
Yes.
and they come to the legislator asking
Yes.
us for claims against the state paying. So have you thought about, if we're gonna go self-insurance, have you thought about not only captive, but possibly the reinsurance, like using Lloyd's of London as
Yeah,
a supportive? And if so, how much would that cost?
So currently, like for our property insurance, we actually go through Lloyd's of London to some of the policies, right? So we
Already.
have this big property policy. No one, especially locally, will come out and say, hey, we'll cover you for 200 million, right? So we have to go outside globally to these insurers. And Lloyd's of London is one of the markets that we tap in because no one looks at insuring a big state entity and coming up with a big limit to handle by themselves. So right now we have our property policy, we have 200 million in limits, and it's shared among like 20 different insurance companies.
Okay.
There's not one company will come in, right? So from that standpoint, yeah, if we are gonna go self-insurance, we probably will have to establish a captive to buy reinsurance.
Reinsurance.
We cannot go as a state of Hawaii and buy reinsurance directly. We have to be, only insurance companies can do that.
Okay.
So, you know, there's different options on, there's a ton that requires a whole different probably meeting on all the different ways that we can look at managing this risk. And every year when we renew our insurance policies, we go through that exercise to see whether the premiums is worth it or not. And, you know, that goes on every year.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions, members? If not, thank you. Let's move forward. We have Tracy, can I open? That's you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys did both of that. Members, any other questions for that? Let me just ask one. There was some testimony that suggested that before we went this way, we should do a study. Is that something that you folks would support? Do we have the personnel to do that?
Yeah.
We have to do a.
That type of study probably would require, you know, consultation even with DNF because of the financing involved. And in addition, probably actuaries would probably have to get involved in doing a report like that. And like I said, in the insurance industry, things have totally changed now. Before they used to look at what losses you had in the past and determine your premium. Now they're starting to establish models to see what will happen in the future and establish. So it's that kind of analysis that's totally different on how we handle risk management from the past. So definitely a much more robust type of analysis would probably have to be done for that.
So if that were to be the recommendation from the joint committees, that we do that kind of analysis, what would be your suggestion as to how that might be accomplished? To provide resources to you to go do a contract and get people in, or what would be the?
Yeah, currently we could probably try to work with DNF to kind of consult with what their experts they would suggest. We have on our side the risk management office, an insurance broker that we utilize. We can consult with them to see, because from a smaller scale, we kind of do actuarial reports for property. What, you know, what losses can we expect? So that's why we buy a certain amount of insurance. So to that extent, we'll probably have to do a lot of consultation to figure out what exact study will tell us self-insured, what's the magic number. We may come up with a range based on probability. We won't come up with a study like that. We won't come up and say, here's a magic number. This is the funding you actually need. There'll probably be a range depending on what type of probability that we choose. So it'll take, I can't tell you right now what it's going to cost and which experts we're going to have to utilize for that. Probably need more consultation and discussion within the state government.
Okay. All right, members, any other questions or comments on this one? If not, thank you both very much. We appreciate it. We had testimony and support, written testimony from John Griffin. This brings us to the end of this agenda, joint with JDC. So let's take a brief recess. Okay. Just a suggestion. Okay. Let's see. All the time.
You're muted, so.
Yeah, we're recessed. Okay. Chair was going to recommend that we pass it just with SMA amendments to address the concern on page 3. However, after so that would be my recommendation. And so I'm trying to do a temperature check to see. Okay, we'll call the committee, joint committees back to order for purposes of some decision making. The chairs, having conferred and reflecting on all of the testimony, recommends that we pass this measure with amendments. The text that SMA noted, add on page 3, subsection F, include the language to the extent permitted by law. And also require that we'll put a date into we'll do effective upon approval so that we can have them go ahead and do the study. And this measure would not be effective in terms of implementation till we'll put a defective date on 2030 and then ask for a report back to the legislature. Does that work for you, Chair?
A blank appropriation.
And a blank, yes, and include a blank appropriation.
To do the study.
And this one does go on to Ways and Means. Any questions, concerns, comments? If not, the recommendation of the chair is to pass. Are we live or are we in the recess? We're live. Okay. I can't, my eyes didn't bring the glasses with me and I can't see that far. The recommendation of the chair is to pass House Bill 1830, House Draft 1 with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Vice Chair Chang, aye. Senator Coit.
Aye.
Senator Ishihara. Aye. Senator Revere. Aye. Senator Sanborn Ventura.
I,
Senator Favela.
Excuse.
The recommendation is adopted.
For JDC members, same recommendation. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Keokalole.
Passing with amendments, Chair Rhodes,
Aye.
Vice Chair goes aye, Senator Ocasio.
Aye.
Senator Gabbard,
Aye.
Senator Kim,
Aye.
Senator Lee is excused, Senator Pavella is excused, recommendation adopted.
Thank you, members. This joint is adjourned and we okay. We'll call the joint committees of Commerce and Consumer Protection and Energy, Economic Development and Tourism to order. We have 3 items on our joint agenda. And since I didn't read this last time, I will read this now. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, we will reconvene on Wednesday, March 23rd at 10 o'clock in conference room 229. Public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. We're being live streamed, as was the last agenda. And if there are temporary technical glitches during your turn to testify via Zoom, we may have to move to the next person due to time constraints. We appreciate everybody's understanding. We'll be reading a list of individuals who have submitted written testimony. We apologize if closed captioning does not accurately transcribe the names. And if you're interested in reviewing the written testimony, please go to the legislature's website. You'll find a link on the status page for the measure. So for CPN, we have Vice Chair Senator Stanley Chang, Senator Len DeCoit, Senator Clarence Ishihara, Senator Gil Riviere, and Senator San Buenaventura, and Senator Pavella is absent. Chair, would you like to introduce the members of EET?
Yes, please. So on behalf of the Committee on Energy, Economic Development and Tourism and our chair here, Senator Glenn Wakai, my name is Senator Bennett Misalucha, Vice Chair. Also with us here is Senator Gil Riviere, and we have Senator Lee as well as Senator Pavella, who are excused.
Okay, all right, so let's move forward with our hearing. The first measure on our joint agenda is House Bill 2108, House Draft 1. And this is relating to special purpose digital currency licensure. Our first testifier is DCCA DFI Commissioner Iris Ikeda. Iris, are you on the call? Oh, you're in the room with us. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I came live.
Yay!
Yay. We like live. Since we haven't had much of it this session.
Yeah, no, it's so fun. Okay, my name is Iris Akira, and I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Division of Financial Institutions. And we are offering comments in support of this administration bill. So this measure, as Chair Baker said, that it will establish a program for licensure, regulation, and oversight of digital currency companies beginning January 1, 2023. And we would extend the operations of the companies that are currently in the Digital Currency Innovation Lab, which is our study, under certain circumstances. And we are also asking for funds to staff up our staff to provide the oversight. As you know, this bill is a work in progress, and I think we're almost at the very end. We have requested 2 more amendments that you'll find in Appendix A, and one is for the anti-money laundering law, and one is for the cybersecurity sections, and those are actually setting out the general pillars of requirements that were found in detail in the previous draft. The industry said that that was too much detail for them to handle, and these 5 pillars or 6 pillars actually say the same thing, just with much less words. And as we know, the The Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2020 is being discussed with FinCEN, and I'm part of that committee. And there'll probably be some changes to that program going forward. Similarly, with the U.S. Department of Treasury, we are also undergoing some discussions with them for the cybersecurity and privacy sections. And so those individual type of regulations might change, but the pillars will not be changing. So with that, we ask that you pass this out. I do note that the Senate passed out Senate Bill 3025 SD2, which is a much more complete version of this admin bill. And if you add in the 2 requirements that we asked for, I think that hopefully will be it. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, we have on Zoom representing HTDC, Lynn Higashi. Lynn, are you there? Morning.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Len Higashi from Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. We stand on our written testimony in support of this bill and support the changes requested by Commissioner Akira. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Grassroots Institute of Hawaii, Ted Kefalas, are you on the call? If not, we have testimony offering comments. Next, we have Blockchain Solutions, Hawaii, Nathaniel Harmon. Are you on the call? If not, testimony and support, Ryan Kawailani Ozawa. Testimony and support, are you on the call? Gerald Silva, testimony in opposition. Carrie Blocker in support. Kevin Taruya in support. Paul Klink in support. Trong Lam in support. Brad Uchida in support. Mark Soeda in support. Katie Jackson in opposition, and late testimony from Cloud Nalu, Liam Grist.
Hello, chairs. Hi.
Yes, I can't tell from here who is trying to address.
Yes. Aloha chairs, it's Katie Jackson. Aloha chairs, Wakai, Baker, vice chairs, Senator Miss Lucia and Chang. I'm Katie Jackson. I'm a longtime Oahu resident and blockchain advocate. I work with and collaborate with local and state representatives of state organizations of blockchain, and I'm here to respectfully oppose the bill as currently written. There's a couple of main reasons why. While we welcome these regulations, we think that this bill is better served, heard and decided in a year or two, because March 9th, President Biden passed an executive order which asked his federal regulators to come up with a consistent crypto regulation strategy. And we feel like if Hawaii gets out in front of that by passing this bill, which is not a good fit for Hawaii, and I'll explain in a bit, that actually could put us at harm and risk when it comes to those federal regulations. So while regulation is good, and we want the crypto exchanges to stay in the state, we want to welcome crypto, we think that this licensing bill is better served to be heard in a year or two, instead of always having to come back and reevaluate it and re-regulate it and amend it every year as legislators. It's better to wait for the feds to come up with a policy and then come up with our own licensing program. The reason why we don't think this bill is a very good licensing bill for Hawaii is because of a couple of reasons. One, there's it's known nationally as a Frankenstein bill because it's pulled from 3 separate types of laws, model laws, uniform law, commission law, and 2015 New York bit license law, and they're kind of mashed together in this bill, and it basically opens up loopholes and makes a lot of confusion on who actually needs to get a license. That's the first reason. The second reason, it didn't work in New York. Parts of this bill was pulled from the 2015 New York bit license law. And that law basically drove the crypto companies out of New York. It caused companies a lot of money to comply, anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million, the research says. And it basically really put a lot of restrictions on the crypto industry just as it was starting. Legislators are now starting to try to repeal that law in New York. and it's considered one of the worst bills in the nation. And this bill actually would make it higher fees would be here in Hawaii than anywhere else in the country. The second reason we really feel that this bill is not a good licensing bill, we need to wait, let's see where the feds go, is because of that cobbling together effect, it basically opens people up for criminal and legal liabilities. And so it's very confusing, and it's just not at a point yet where it's ready to be passed, in our opinion. So we do think there is a solution. We really applaud the need for regulation. We think that we need to just go a little bit slower, and we recommend the task force bill, which is currently passed from the Senate to the House, SB 2695. If you pass that bill, it gives the state an ability to kind of think, let the federal regulation settle, and then create a bill and a license bill that actually fits Hawaii and allows companies to stay, creates a welcoming environment. So with all that, chairs, I respectfully thank you for allowing me to say my comments.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call on this particular House bill? Please state your name. You're muted. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, members of the legislature. My name is Liam Grist with Cloud Nalu, and we are a software development group in Hawaii. And we have been members of the Digital Currency Innovation Lab since 2020. And we'd just like to say that we do support this bill. It is great that we have a more drive towards clear regulation for the future. The confidence among users in Hawaii is important to keep up with their regard to being able to engage in such digital assets. And the Digital Currency Innovation Lab, in partnership with HTDC, has really been a great program for establishing a priority on education through their webinars for Hawaii residents, and also has been really the push for including other companies like myself in the development of such regulation here. And clearly, Commissioner Ikeda has noted our comments and has introduced new amendments to this bill, especially with regards to the AML program, which we definitely support. Those amendments to this bill will make it easier for us to comply, or especially other companies who have bigger operations and larger databases will have an easier time complying with the AML requirements of this bill, which do impose additional AML requirements on top of what FinCEN currently requires. But we would like to say our support, and those amendments work for us. We would like to additionally say that Blockchain Solutions Hawaii's amendment to the bill, which was amended in the Senate bill, which allows for non-custodial use of digital currencies, or at least makes it more clear that non-custodial use of digital currencies are not required to be regulated by this bill or through this licensure program. So that works as well, but it's very important to at least include that. Alternatively, we could, however, use the definition, I think, that has been proposed by Coin Center and others in the space, of which virtual currency business activity should be regulated. And that's the URVCBA model. We think that that might be more appropriate, and we should definitely consider that because it's a definition that has been created by the Universal Laws Committee, which is more of a standard now in the United States when regulating virtual currency business activity. So either using the amendments of the Senate bill which would allow for non-custodial use and makes it clear that that's okay, or making it more simple, arguably, and using the Universal Laws Committee model of defining which virtual currency business activities should be regulated in the US. So thank you. Those are our comments, and thank you for letting me testify today.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else on the call who wishes to comment on House Bill 2108? If not, members, any questions? Senator Misalucha.
Iris, please. Aloha, Iris.
Hi.
First of all, I want to commend you. I think for the hard work as well as the forward thinking and coming up with trying to find a solution. Because as you know, there's like 67,000 folks, local folks who participate in our digital commerce and or crypto commerce. And I just want to make sure that you're properly acknowledged for all the hard work. So could you address though the criticism, or I guess the notion that perhaps we should wait, if you can, because of the fact that the Biden administration did say about 2 weeks ago that they are, he essentially urged all the various stakeholders to get together to come up with a more cohesive approach, a more cohesive strategy that would map out regulation for the entire country. So do you see that we should wait? Do you think that we should move forward, considering I know there's a timing issue with the fact that the sandbox or the DCIL is going to lapse?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think one of the things that's kind of important is, even President Biden has recognized that some regulation is needed. And a lot of times the states are the first ones to move forward with regulation. And I think the federal government actually learns a lot from the different trials that the state governments are doing. We are going to be the first state to have a law like this. It was kind of cobbled together, not exactly how Ms. Jackson said it was cobbled together, but I did use portions of, different laws that we thought were applicable. And, I have been running this through both the participants and the wider community. Just to get their feedback, and as we saw, I made a bunch of changes throughout the session based on those conversations, and I think that those have been pretty valuable in trying to figure out what exactly would be palatable to these companies. I think they see that this regulation is a level playing field for all of the companies, right, and also provide consumer protection, which is what we're really after.
So as we move forward, I'm assuming that you'll be monitoring, because I guess the threat of, crypto companies pulling out of the market because of the regulation that were set forth, is a possibility. So I'm assuming you'll be coming back to the legislature in time if we have those kind of experiences.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that because of the study parameters, it was only going to be 2 years. And there are companies that just chose not to participate because of the short nature of the study, right? But they have been participating in our wider discussions about the regulation.
So I know the sandbox is going to sunset June 2022. Are we able to, do you have the mechanisms, the operational systems in place so that from the ending of that DCIL would actually be the first day for the new normal?
Yeah, so hopefully, I've worked with the Attorney General's office to try to have that in the current bills, in 3025, Senate Bill 3025, and we think that that's going to work so that the companies that are currently participating will not have to stop.
Will there be a transition period at all?
A what?
A transition?
No.
Oh,
because,
okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to check. Okay. That's all I have, Chair.
Okay. Just one question to you, Iris. It's the chair's intent to take the bill, the Senate bill that we passed, and put it into this. Is there anything that we might need to adjust based on the timing or how things may have changed between the Senate passage and this consideration?
I think that I think with the last two amendments that we're asking for, I think that the bill is pretty complete.
Okay.
It's not perfect by any means. As I said, because this is the first one of its kind, I think that we are, at the forefront of this, right? And I would note that 2 other states that I know of have introduced this exact same bill in their legislature this year. So, it's good to be, the first sometimes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Members, any other questions for Iris? If not, I believe that brings us to the end of, do we have more? I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. I was going to go ahead and just do decision making on this, but we'll just wait and do the resos and then do them all at once. Okay. The next item on our joint agenda is Senate Concurrent Resolution 30, Senate Resolution 25, requesting the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs Division of Financial Institutions and the Hawaii Technology Development Corporation to extend the Digital Currency Innovation Lab project. Iris.
Hi again, my name is Iris Akira. I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs, Division of Financial Institutions, and we appreciate the intent of this resolution and offer some comments on this. As you know, the pilot program, it is set to expire for consumers at the end of June, and then they will have another 6 months to divest their holdings. The current pilot program does not have an extension date. So if this resolution passes, we see this sort of as a fail-safe in case we don't have a bill this session. We'll need to somehow try to extend the DCIL. I am working with the Attorney General's office, because there's no real enforcement going on in the DCIL. We're a little bit uncomfortable in extending that enforcement kind of a platform over. But if we don't have a choice, we will try to continue on the project.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
HTDC.
Thank you, chairs. Thank you, chairs, vice chairs. Len Higashi from HTDC. Thank you for the reso. We are flattered to be requested to extend. We support the intent of this bill for the reasons that Commissioner Ikeda explained. We prefer a statute so that there can be a certain path forward for companies looking to enter the market. But we are happy to continue supporting because we believe this is a very important opportunity for Hawaii. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have comments from the Grassroots Institute of Hawaii. We have testimony and support from Carrie Blocker. Deegan Bernstein, are you on the call? Testimony and support. Paul Klink in support, and Katie Jackson in support. I see a face, I don't see a name. Could you identify yourself, please?
Aloha mai kako. My name is Deegan Bernstein.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to provide testimony and support of this bill. I'm an educator in an independent school on Hawaii Island and a proud lifelong citizen of the state of Hawaii. And like many people in this state, I got interested in cryptocurrencies in 2020, 2021. And like most everyday citizens, I did what we do, and I jumped onto the Google machine and Googled cryptocurrency Hawaii, and was glad that the DCIL and HTDC was one of the first search results to pop up. And I've been able to attend a number of free informational webinars, been able to access information on the website, and I've also been able to connect with a broader network of professionals involved in this industry. And it's really helped me educate myself, understand the role of this technology and cryptocurrency. And I'm testifying in support because I think it's important that we create avenues of access for this information for all citizens here in the state. As an educator myself that works with young people in our schools, I also teach financial literacy classes, and I'm able to make sure I'm responding and answering questions by our keiki that they bring to me as an educator, and that I'm up to date with recent information, not only about state laws, but the broader industry across the state. So
Okay, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up. We only have 10 more minutes left in our time slot, and I want to get through this agenda. So thank you very much. We have your testimony.
Thank you very much for your time.
All right. We have Paul Klink in support. Katie Jackson submitted some late testimony. Katie,
Yes.
if you can say in one word or two, that's it. Okay?
Yeah, I support these resolutions. I'll tell you from a state, national level, people look to Hawaii and the sandbox as the forefront of innovation.
Okay, thank
So
you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, the next item on our agenda is Senate Concurrent Resolution 31 SR 26. DFI. Be quick, Iris.
Hi, okay, so my name is Iris Akira. I'm the Commissioner for the Division of Financial Institutions, and we actually prefer the bill that's moving through.
Okay, all right, thank you. Carrie Blocker in support, Paul Klink in support, Deegan in support, and Katie Jackson in support. Members, we're going to the next pair of resos, SCR 48, SR 43, requesting the Public Utilities Commission to consider efforts to mitigate high energy burdens for low and moderate income customers and investigate how to integrate considerations of energy equity and justice across its work. And we have testimony from DCCA.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, Dean Ishino with the Division of Consumer Advocacy. You have a written testimony. We stand in support of this measure or this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. PUC.
Good morning, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. My name is Rachel James on behalf of the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission. You have a written testimony upon which we stand. Thank you.
Thank you.
In support.
Thank you. Hawaii State Energy Office, offering comments. And anybody else? Dr. Griffin, did you want to supplement the testimony from the PUC? That's just the next one I thought. Okay. Hawaiian Electric.
Good morning, Peter Young from Hawaiian Electric. In support of these resolutions, we stand on our testimony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that's the end of our testifiers. Members, we are up against the time crunch, and so unless there are burning questions from any of our testifiers, we are going to recess the hearing and go into decision making. You want to count us back in? We're going back live.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. We'll call the committee back to order for purposes of decision making on House Bill 2108, House Draft 1, Special Purpose Digital Currency Licensure. Chair recommends that we pass this measure with amendments to insert the contents of the Senate bill we passed over to the House, Senate Bill 3025, Senate Draft 2, with a clean date of 7/1/2022. Any questions or comments? If not, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye to pass HB 2108 with amendments. Vice Chair Chang, aye. Senator DeCoit.
Aye.
Senator Nishihara.
Aye.
Senator Riviere.
Aye.
Senator San Buenaventura.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. The recommendation is adopted.
Same recommendation for Energy, Economic Development, and Tourism. Chair votes aye. Senator Wakai.
Okay, I vote aye as well. Vice Chair Ms. Lucha votes yes. Senator Lee is excused. Senator Riviere.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, on Senate Concurrent Resolution 30 SR 25, we going to defer this indefinitely as we have already passed Senate Bill 3025 SB2, and we believe that that's the preferred measure. The next item is SCR 31 SR 26, requesting DCCA to create a task force to study blockchain, etc. Chair also recommends that we defer this one indefinitely since the Senate Bill 2695 is moving in the House. Senate Concurrent Resolution 48 SR 43. This is a PUC request. Chair recommends we pass with amendments to the title to include the consumer advocate input to the PUC and to acknowledge the work of the PUC in other dockets such as the one listed 2019-0323. And this reso is not intended to be duplicative, but rather to focus on the need for integration of energy equity and justice in the ongoing and future work of the PUC. Any questions or comments? If not, the recommendation is to pass this pair of resolutions with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Okay, so for SCR 48 and SR 43, Chair's recommendation is to pass with amendments, noting the excusal of Senator Favela for the CPN committee. Are there any objections or reservations? Seeing none, the recommendation is adopted.
For Energy, Economic Development and Tourism, Vice Chair has same recommendations, pass with amendments. Vice Chair votes aye. Chair Wakai.
I vote yes. Senator Lee and Favela excuse. Senator Revere. Aye. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Allison, does this bring us to the end of our? Okay, thank you, members.
Thank you.
Pleasure working with everyone. We are adjourned.